I'm Lynette Sanders. I want to talk to you about defining success for business. I try to keep these videos short because I want you to be able to get through them. It means I don't go into great detail, but if you have questions about any of it, I'd be delighted to chat with you about it. So the whole idea of success metrics, what gets measured gets done, right? I think that's Carnegie. But we might have goals around things other than fiscals, but I don't know that you track things other than fiscals. So this will hopefully shed some light on how to do that across your flywheel. Flywheels are, it was an idea given to me by my dad, who kind of founded Gatorade and International Delight. He was a great businessman. And he said, flywheel is like a gyroscope. And as long as everything's balanced, everything can keep going with very little energy. But as soon as something's out of whack, when you focus on one thing too much, it starts thunking until it stops. I have heard from several of my business coaching clients that they put too much emphasis in certain things and didn't pay attention to other things, and their flywheel was out of whack. So in my world, this is a flywheel for business leadership, what a leadership team should be concerned with and measure. Culture, obviously rules of engagement, and I'll go through these in a minute, but your business, your brand, your insight, how you get smarter, who you focus on in terms of clients, how you guys work together in terms of processes, the work that you put out, your outputs, and the energy of your organization. So slightly different from culture. This is kind of the gas in the tank, this firing on all cylinders, as opposed to how we work together. So the ultimate goal is winning big. And how do you define winning big? You have to do that for yourself. But if I were to unpack it, I think winning big is winning the war for talent, keeping the best and brightest, luring them, first of all, being able to work with your lions and not with your dogs. And I will explain that in another video, but I'll do a little bit here. Doing your best work, not auditioning. So having clients call you and predisposed to working with you, not having do-overs or a lot of waste, having fun together, which is underappreciated. Solvency, obviously fiscal, got to feed the machine. And flourishing, being able to follow your noble goals, whether that's giving money back, working for nonprofits, retiring early, all of those wonderful things, taking care of your people during hard times. So you define winning big, but just know that it kind of goes across your flywheel. So let me unpack a couple of these. Culture. Some companies I know have a one-word brief for who would be a perfect fit for their organization. Some want someone who is earnest, and others want someone who is outrageous, for example. And then there are rules of engagement. How do we kind of play together as a group? Is it be kind? If you think it, say it. There are certain things that kind of get taught by osmosis, but are really powerful when they are articulated. I have a client that doubled in size. Finally, and we articulated their rules of engagement so that when they doubled, they still remained one of the best places to work in Portland. So they kept their best and brightest. They kept their culture. And that was really important to them. Business is about your fiscals, but it's also about your management. How well are your leaders doing? Your brand, how do you want to come across? And are you luring the right kinds of clients with your image? How do you stay smarter than your clients and ignite elegant solutions? A lot of that has to do with insight and how you invest in insights. Sometimes research, I think, is huge. Your clients, not all clients are created equal. There are lions, horses, and dogs. I'll unpack that in a different video. But knowing your 20% that makes up 80% of your revenues, your love, and your marquee value, what makes them wildly happy? Process, killing the vampires that burn up your profits and energy with spin. It's all inefficiency. So you got to be able to edit processes out. Most companies add processes, but they don't tend to remove ones that don't work. And if you don't have a killer brief process that's going to solve about 80% of your problems. Promise. And that's in a different video. Your work, what are your outputs? Do they ignite pride? Are they impactful? Do you have case studies? Do they help lure more lions? There's an alignment exercise called Wall of Fame, Wall of Shame that you should look into if of interest. And the energy of your agency. So that's momentum, it's happiness, it's gas in the tank. On a 1 to 10 scale at any given moment, how happy are your people? That is something you should measure. So as far as how to measure these, so I was saying energy, a 1 to 10 happiness check-in, you could do quarterly, you could do annually. Sometimes some companies do it in every meeting. How is everybody feeling on a 1 to 10 scale? Bigger numbers are better. If anybody's a 4 or below, they kind of stop and address that before they move on to the topics at hand. Culture, a 9 box, it's a grid. I'll explain that later, but knowing who your best and brightest are and tracking how many of those you're keeping. Business, obviously you're tracking profits, but I think management, leadership is also part of business, and people leave because of poor management. So if your managers, your leadership team are not getting 360 reviews by the people who work for them and outside their department, they should. Your brand, can you measure your reputation? Do you know what your reputation is? And do you know how your clients are talking about you? How are your staff talking about you? Have you checked out Glassdoor? As far as insights go, I was saying having a research discipline, if you will, but also professional development. Are you investing in that? And are your people sharing it internally and externally? Are they writing papers and posting on LinkedIn? Your clients, especially your lions, satisfaction metrics. I was always amazed when I asked them actually to define value in their terms. What was the value that they saw in working with me? And they always came up with things that were not obvious to me, but they made a huge difference to them. And as soon as I knew it, it kind of changed everything. The processes, on timesheets, as people kind of keep track of how much time is wasted and where that time is wasted, and treat that like a job. Because if you can reduce that waste, it is just as profitable as getting more clients and more billable hours. Work, the Wall of Fame, Wall of Shame. I've done this with loads of clients and some very creative companies like Adidas, where they work together for years. They bring in examples of work that they think is awesome and work that they think is awful. And you post it on a wall, and then they talk about it, why they think it's awesome, why they think it's awful. It could be their work or just work out in the universe. If it's just out in the ether, that really helps with inspiration. Once you get to a point where you can post work that's their work, and we can talk about it openly, this is what we think is good work, this is what we think is crap work. And what's beautiful about that, besides just alignment on it, is that there's language around it then, and it's easier to talk about it in front of clients. So these are ways that, you can just kind of reset your company. They're 10-degree shifts. I don't think anybody's really 180 degrees off. But it's finding those 10-degree shifts and making those small tweaks and making sure your leadership team is looking at the whole picture and not just part of the picture is really the key to success. So I wish you doing the best work you can possibly do with less time and energy expended and having way more fun in the process.